Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the movie Social. We are your hosts, Ricky and Stefan. Today's episode, we're going to be doing a review for Throwback Thursday. Yes, another Throwback Thursday. For one of the all-time greats, if you ask me, Unbreakable. One of M. Night Shyamalan's movies that I personally liked. Yes, he had a few that were not so great, but the whole Unbreakable series was fantastic. And this started it all. And how could we not do this? It's a Philadelphia-based movie, starring Samuel Jackson and Bruce Willis. To me, some of the better actors for action and suspense.
Agreed.
And horror, if you ask me, because this kind of had a little bit of all that rolled into it.
To each his own, but okay.
I'm just saying, it's for the franchise, not in each one individually, not in this particular one, but for the whole franchise, yes. Now, if you have not seen Unbreakable, unless you are under the age of 15, what are you waiting for? Are you living under a rock? Like, really, if you have seen Split or Glass and you have not seen Unbreakable, shame on you. Shame on you.
Agreed.
Alright, so Unbreakable starts off with Bruce Willis being on a train that eventually derails. Basically, everybody on the train dies but him. And he barely has a scratch on him. He was able to walk away from it all. And then along comes the partial villain, I would say, because it's weird. Throughout the whole series, he's a villain, but he's not the villain at the same time.
I get what you're saying.
And Samuel Jackson's Mr. Glass. Whew, what a great name. I'm not going to lie, for a character. Especially given the fact that he is nothing but made out of glass in a way. Mm-hmm. One scene in the show, the movie, he falls on the Broad Street Line's train steps. And basically breaks like 4 or 5 bones in his body. Mm-hmm. It's wow. Like, he really cannot fall, hit or anything, take really any damage, or else bone breaks. It's like glass, hence the name. And so he starts off seeming like he might be an innocent good guy, trying to find other people that have some kind of abilities. He believes he in a way has an ability because he's so fragile, but he's smart, very, very smart.
Yep.
And so he stumbles across Bruce Willis's character through basically finding out about the train crash. He's found other stuff too about him, other characters who they never show, and basically tries to let him know, yeah, you're supposed to be like a superhero and all. And then he eventually becomes the villain throughout all this, while trying to force Bruce Willis to reveal his true powers. They actually show a scene at the Penn Relay Stadium down there at Spruce Street, where the guy has a gun, is trying to get into the stadium with a gun to kill somebody, and Bruce Willis's character can sense that he has a weapon, and so he tries to chase after him and all. He ends up going down the train platform, and that's when stumbling into Mr. Glass there knocks him down, and Brokey, like Humpty Dumpty fall off the wall.
This man said brokey.
That's how it went. Crap.
That was hilarious. Go ahead, man.
I mean, it was just like, if we could get an X-ray, all you would see is cracks and breaks all over the place.
Mortal Kombat X-ray vision.
Pretty much. But yeah, as a whole, the franchise has definitely grown. And I would say if you have at least watched Unbreakable and haven't watched Split or Glass, you should watch them all. It's a great franchise. I'm hoping they continue it on, especially with the way Glass ended, where there's supposed to be a whole organization and it's deeper into it. I really hope they extend the whole franchise. Come on, M. Night. Can we extend that? Don't do no more Airbender, but please do this. I'm sorry, that doesn't exist anymore.
Nope.
But
Let's
continue this whole franchise. This is your comic book franchise to continue. This is your fantasy franchise to do. No more Lady in the Water. Do this. All right, so your thoughts on Unbreakable.
So it was a really good film. I really like, excuse me, I really liked the entire movie. What made the movie really great for me was basically like the continuations. With the Split and Mr. Glass or Dr. Glass. I forgot the name of it.
Glass. Just Glass.
Oh, it's just Glass. Perfect. So yeah, the whole superhero, supervillain aspect, sometimes people could say it can get played out. But this looked at it as like in a whole different light.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't more like your comic book.
Yeah, which made it so dope for me. And like as he said, and like Shyamalan, this should be your baby. Some of the movies that people or directors or creators do, they have that one special film or series that's their baby. And you can definitely tell that this is his baby because again, it's great acting. It's the home city of Philadelphia. I mean, so like the whole movie, the process of, you know, him being the nice guy at first, and then basically pulling the 180 and being the bad guy, and then it continues in the Split, and then the Split continues into Glass. It wraps everything up nice with a bow. But the first one, to me, in my eyes, is. I don't want to say like so. This is what I want you to do. I don't want you to look at them as a series. You have to, but each movie has its own individual thing essentially. And this one,
it's all connected.
Yeah, they're still connected, but each movie has their own. Like for example, if Unbreakable was by itself and then that was just it would be a great movie. If Split was just by itself, it would be a great movie. But like they all do tie in together very, very nicely, like a puzzle piece. But the very first one, to me, Unbreakable was the best one, honestly. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I might go home and watch it again because I watched it so many times now, and it was a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. I've actually watched all three together just for the hell of it because it's
little marathon.
Really
Okay, I see you doing. See what you're doing.
I mean, it's a miniature one. It ain't a big one. It ain't like I'm watching all the Harry Potters together. But yeah,
Aren't they like 3 hours apiece?
Close enough to it.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, all in all, it's definitely not your typical villain superhero type of movie. It's not Marvel, DC. Hell, DC probably should have took pages from this, and they might have stayed the chance as a franchise.
Okay, I'm gonna just say this about DC, and then that's gonna be it. DC's cinematic movies are garbage.
Yes, they are.
DC animated movies.
It's different. It's a whole different story. They're not on the same. But it's
they
still
are
not the
dope.
same.
They're not. But I'm saying like the animated movies versus the cinematic movies are like you got the creme de la creme. You got a filet mignon versus something from
let's not go too far from.
But
you throwback.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a different take on superhero villain, not comic book standard superhero villain moments. Even the origin stories weren't fully the same. I mean, they had an origin stories that were deep, especially for Mr. Glass.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the same as for others. And then they did have weaknesses, because Bruce Willis's character, his weakness was water because they almost drowned him as a kid.
Mm-hmm. And then before we divulge into it, with Split, he did have a weakness. Mm-hmm. His weakness was basically like seeing other people who basically went through the same pain as he did.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
yeah, they all had different weaknesses, but as a whole, it's definitely different than your standard comic books, and it was great. Especially when you watch them all together, you can actually see the character developments, you can see the story development, and it all pieces together. Especially once Glass came out, everything folded 100% together. It matched and it fit. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to try to throw this in here to make it fit. No, it really fit. Mm-hmm. It was like a puzzle piece finally coming completely together. Now, will we get a fourth one? I don't know. I mean, it took a long time to go from Unbreakable to Split, but it didn't take that long from Split to Glass.
Correct.
So, hopefully, M. Night. We will get a fourth one.
If we get out of this pandemic that we're in.
Who knows? We could be writing a fourth one now.
That could be true.
But I don't know. Did you guys watch Unbreakable? If you have not, are you going to watch it? If you should, check it out. Definitely let us know in the comments below what you thought about that episode. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications. And until next time.